Hello first graders, this video is going to be our week 8 day 4 math instruction, but if you're following along on this 3 weeks of instruction, we are technically week 2 day 4 of our yellow learning packet, okay? So we're in our yellow learning packet, and today for math we have counting dimes, and it's actually going to be counting dimes and pennies, and we have telling time. Okay, so let's get into our instruction today. Okay, so boys and girls, we have money coins. Okay, count on dimes and pennies. Directions: add up the coins, write the number as you count. How much money in all? Okay, so write the number as you count. Okay. Now, boys and girls, I know that sometimes dimes and pennies on a colorless sheet like this might be hard to tell apart, okay? So there is a clear difference between a dime and a penny. Notice the small head we have on a dime, and look at how much smaller the dime is than the penny on this piece of paper. Now, this is what well, I guess it's not a real dime, but it is one of those play dimes we have here at school. Notice the head and how it matches up here. And then if we have our penny, see the difference? They are two different presidents. So this president is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and this president is Abraham Lincoln. Okay, so we have two different presidents for the head side. And then if you look at the tail, you can take a look and see the difference on the back. Okay? So you have a Union seal over here on our dime, and then you also have the Lincoln Memorial here on the penny. All right, so there is a clear difference. A penny has Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. Okay, so that might help you if you remember Lincoln. Okay, so the difference, we want to count our dimes first. Dimes are worth 10 cents, pennies are worth 1 cent. We know that at this point in first grade. So we always want to start with our bigger number counting, okay? Because if you wanted to count 1 and then add 10, then you're at 11, and then you want to add maybe one more, 12, and then another 10, 22, that just gets a little bit confusing to follow. So we start with our bigger number, our dimes, and we count those first, and then we just continue our counts with pennies. Now, fortunately, you guys won't actually have to rearrange anything. Our dimes are first, so notice that. So we'll have to really pay attention. Okay, when does it change from a dime to a penny? When does it change from a dime to a penny? Okay, so when do we change our coin, and when do we change our count? Now, for our directions, it says count, write the number as you count. So I know a dime is worth 10 cents, okay? So let's start off. Our count is at 10 cents because we know that's how much a dime is. Now, how much is a penny? A penny is worth 1 cent, okay? So we are counting, or we're writing our number as we count. So if we did this, 10 plus 1 equals 11. Okay, so our next count should be 11. And since we're continuing to add pennies into our count, we really just keep counting by ones from here, okay? So we go from 11 cents to 12 cents, 13 cents, 14 cents, 15 cents. Okay, so our final answer is 15 cents. All right. So I will do one more with you boys and girls just to make sure we're understanding. But I think you guys are pretty much pros at counting coins at this point in the year. So I don't think we're going to have too much difficulty with this. Okay, so let's drop down to this one right here. Okay, so let's take a look at our dimes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, and then I know it changes to a penny right there. So I have to be ready to change my count from here. Okay, so then we'll count ones from there on out. Alright, so starting with a dime, we know a dime is worth how much cents? Good, it is worth 10 cents. Okay, so now we can skip count by tens, right? We don't have to count 10 and then go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's a lot of counting, and that's, that's some unnecessary work there. At this point, we know how to count by tens and skip count by tens, so we can go 10, 20, right? So 20, notice how our tens place changes. It's like our tens place just really goes up by 1, okay? So we're counting 10, 20, 30, 40, and then look, we made our switch. So we do not want to continue to count by tens. This is a very common mistake first graders make. It's a common mistake that a lot of people will make. Even adults might make this mistake sometimes because you get in the groove of counting by tens and you just don't want to change what you were doing. That's okay. You make a mistake. Nothing wrong with that, boys and girls, but just double check yourself. So I know that after this, I have to continue to count by 1. So we have 40, now add on 1, 41, add on 2, or our second penny. So we're at 42, and now we add our third penny, so we end at 43. That is 43 cents. Okay? If you guys have any questions about this, certainly feel free to contact me and ask. Maybe something that would help you with this, just to see the visual. Maybe you guys just get a bunch of dimes and a bunch of pennies and you can lay them out. I know I only have one right now, but maybe you just do something like this. So you put a real dime down and a real penny down. So then you can really visually see where it changes from one coin to the next. That might be helpful for everyone, okay? Going on to our second page for math today, it is time, okay? So we are telling time. Match the time set. It says directions. Cut and paste the digital clocks to match. Alright, so if you look down here, we have our digital clocks, and what we want to do is we cut them out, okay? So I'm not going to cut them out, but I will help you guys figure out maybe one or two of these times, okay? So you're going to match one of these to whatever, or all of these, to each of these clocks. Make sure you match up the right digital clock to the right analog clock. Now, something I do want to point out, remember, with our clocks, our hour hand is our small hand, okay? So the little hand is the hour hand. It moves very slowly around the clock because it takes 60 minutes for that hour hand to get all the way around the clock. Alright, and our big hand is our minute hand. Now our minute hand moves around the clock much faster than our hour hand. It only takes 60 seconds for our minute hand to go all the way around the clock. Okay, so notice how as my minute hand keeps ticking and going around the clock, so does my hour hand. It slowly moves, okay? So if I were to pause right here, what time would that be? Well, I know it's past 9 o'clock, okay? So we're not at 9 o'clock, and our minute hand is pointing straight down to the 6, which would be 30. Now, boys and girls, notice too how we have 30 underneath our 6. This tells us the minute. It's 30. It's not 6 minutes, 30 minutes, okay? So we are half past 9 o'clock, or we're at 9:30, okay? So that's what we do. Just make sure you're recognizing which hand's the small hand, which hand is the big hand, okay? And if you are past an hour, I want you to make sure you're not going 1 hour too far or 1 hour too far back, okay? So if you're half past 9, we know we're not quite to 10, but we know we're not exactly at 9 o'clock, so we would be half past 9. Now, just another example with that. Let's say I keep moving my clock. Here we go. If I were to stop right here, look at that. I am right at 11 o'clock on the dot. So that's 11 o'clock on the dot. My hour hand's pointing directly at the 11. My minute hand is pointing straight up. Now, yes, again, this is not 11:12. This is 11 o'clock. So a minute resets a clock. All right, so we're at 11 o'clock. or 60 seconds, or the top right here will reset your clock. So let me start moving. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. And now when my hand is pointing straight down, notice I went halfway around the clock, so that hour hand now moved halfway between 11 and 12. So this reads half past 11, or 11:30. Okay, so that's just a quick little review for you guys. Let's take a look at a couple of these problems. Now, just starting off right here at the top, I want you to notice, where are my hands and which hand is which. So our small hand is pointing halfway between the 1 and the 2. Maybe some of you know that, okay, if it's halfway between the 1 and the 2, I already know that it is half past 1, right? Because you are halfway past 1 and you're not quite to 2. All right. Another way, maybe some of us just see that minute hand. That's what tells us that it's half past the number. Okay, so I see I'm half past 1. My minute hand is pointing straight down. It's halfway around the clock, so I know it is half past 1. Or you can say 1:30. So go ahead. You can find that 1:30 cutout and paste it to your box. Right. Let's just do one more. Let's take a look over here. Okay, so now we have our hour hand, right, and our minute hand. So our hour hand is pointing directly at the 2, and our minute hand is pointing straight up at the 12. So I know that this reads exactly 2 o'clock. Notice the hour hand, it's not half past. It's not before, it's not past. It is exactly at 2 o'clock. Okay, so we have 2 o'clock. Alright, boys and girls, I know that sometimes telling time can be tricky. It's a skill that's easy to lose because we do have so many digital clocks nowadays. But I do challenge you and encourage you guys to take a look at as many analog clocks as you can and just practice reading clocks in an everyday situation. Okay, so that's all we have today for math, and I will see you tomorrow.